For most of human history, progress has not been a straight line. Civilizations rise. They innovate. They build. And then they fall. When they fall, something else disappears with them. Not just cities. Not just monuments. But knowledge. We often imagine ancient societies as primitive. We picture stone tools, simple machines, limited understanding. And yet, scattered across the world are traces of technologies that seem far more advanced than we expect. Technologies that appeared and then vanished. In ancient Rome, engineers built roads so durable that many are still visible today. They constructed aqueducts that carried water across valleys with astonishing precision. They created concrete that could harden underwater and survive for thousands of years. And then, after the fall of the Roman Empire, much of that knowledge was lost. Roman concrete, in particular, remains a mystery even now. Modern analysis has revealed that it contains a mixture of volcanic ash and lime that reacts chemically over time, making the material stronger rather than weaker. Some ancient Roman harbors still stand after 2 millennia of exposure to saltwater. Modern concrete, by comparison, often deteriorates within decades. For centuries, the exact formula of Roman concrete was forgotten. Builders knew it had existed. They could see its durability. But the knowledge of how to reproduce it precisely faded with the collapse of the empire. It was not destroyed. It was simply no longer remembered. The same pattern appears elsewhere. In ancient Greece, around 2,000 years ago, a device was constructed that should not have existed in its time. Discovered in a shipwreck near the Greek island of Antikythera, it appeared at first to be a lump of corroded bronze. But inside it was something extraordinary. A mechanical system of gears, dozens of them, arranged with precision. When reconstructed, it revealed itself to be an astronomical calculator. A device capable of predicting eclipses, tracking planetary motions, and modeling celestial cycles with remarkable accuracy. The Antikythera mechanism is often described as the world's first analog computer. But after its creation, nothing like it appears again for more than 1,000 years. No similar devices have been found from that era. No clear evolutionary path leads from it to later mechanical clocks. It appears suddenly, and then disappears from history. Did the knowledge vanish with the craftsman who built it? Was it too expensive, too complex, too rare to spread? Or was it simply a fragile branch of technology that never had time to grow? In ancient Damascus, during the medieval period, blacksmiths forged blades so sharp and resilient that legends formed around them. Damascus steel swords were said to cut through armor, to bend without breaking, to hold an edge unlike anything seen in Europe at the time. The secret of their production was eventually lost. Modern metallurgists have attempted to recreate Damascus steel, analyzing microscopic structures and chemical compositions. Some success has been achieved, but the exact traditional methods used by ancient smiths remain uncertain. The craftsmen are gone. Their workshops are gone. Their instructions were never written, or never survived. Technology can be delicate. If knowledge is not recorded, or if it depends on rare materials, or if it requires social stability to maintain, it can vanish surprisingly quickly. Even monumental architecture carries mysteries. The pyramids of Egypt were built with astonishing precision. Massive stone blocks were transported, aligned, and assembled with an accuracy that still challenges modern engineers. We understand many aspects of how they were built: ramps, labor organization, quarrying techniques. But there remain unanswered questions about logistics, workforce coordination, and certain construction details. What makes these structures remarkable is not that they are impossible. It is that they were possible, and then the exact scale of that achievement was not repeated. Later Egyptian dynasties built pyramids too, but none matched the scale or structural perfection of the Great Pyramid. The technology was not lost overnight. It simply became impractical. Large-scale engineering requires economic stability, centralized power, and long-term planning. When political structures weaken, ambitious projects fade. Sometimes, technology disappears not because it is forgotten, but because it no longer fits the world that follows. In South America, The Inca civilization built vast road systems across mountains, using suspension bridges made from woven plant fibers. These bridges could span deep canyons and were maintained through communal labor. When Spanish colonizers arrived, many of these technologies declined. European infrastructure models replaced local systems. Knowledge of maintaining fiber bridges survived in some regions, but much of it faded. Elsewhere, ancient peoples mastered navigation without modern instruments. Polynesian navigators crossed vast stretches of the Pacific Ocean using stars, wave patterns, wind direction, and bird behavior. Their mental maps of the ocean were incredibly detailed. Much of that knowledge was oral. When colonization disrupted cultural transmission, navigation techniques nearly vanished. Only in recent decades have researchers worked with indigenous communities to revive and document them. Some lost technologies are not mechanical. They are cognitive. They exist in memory, training, and tradition. The Library of Alexandria is often cited as a symbol of lost knowledge. Though modern historians debate the exact scale of its destruction, it represents something real: the vulnerability of recorded information. Before printing presses, before digital storage, before backups, a single fire could erase centuries of accumulated understanding. We like to believe that modern knowledge is secure. But history suggests otherwise. Technologies can vanish when supply chains collapse, when trade routes disappear, when specialists die without apprentices, when languages fade. Even today, certain manufacturing processes rely on tacit knowledge, techniques that exist not in manuals, but in experience. Consider concrete again. 4 centuries after Rome fell, builders in Europe constructed with stone and simpler mortar. The complex chemical interactions that gave Roman concrete its durability were not fully understood. Only in modern times have researchers begun to uncover how volcanic ash created a self-healing reaction within the material. The Romans did not leave behind a detailed materials science textbook. They left behind structures. The structures became clues. Lost technology does not always mean advanced alien knowledge or mysterious intervention. Often, it means something simpler: that knowledge depends on continuity. Civilizations are ecosystems. Engineers depend on miners. Miners depend on trade. Trade depends on political stability. Stability depends on governance. Break one link, and the chain weakens. Break enough links, and knowledge fragments. There are also technologies we may misunderstand. Greek fire, for example, was a Byzantine weapon described as an incendiary substance that could burn on water. Its exact composition remains uncertain. It was reportedly deployed through siphon-like devices in naval battles. The formula was guarded closely. It was a state secret. When the Byzantine Empire weakened, the knowledge appears to have faded. Some historians believe it was a petroleum-based mixture. Others suggest chemical additives. Without surviving recipes, we reconstruct through speculation. Secrecy can preserve power, but it can also guarantee disappearance. And then there are cases where we suspect lost sophistication, but evidence is incomplete. Ancient metallurgy sometimes achieved purity levels that surprise modern analysts. Stone cutting in certain archaeological sites demonstrates precision that challenges assumptions about available tools. But careful research often reveals practical explanations, clever engineering rather than supernatural capability. The danger in discussing lost technologies is exaggeration. It is tempting to imagine ancient supercivilizations with knowledge far beyond ours. But the truth is more human. Innovation is uneven. It surges in one place, stagnates in another. It depends on culture, resources, urgency, and need. A society facing constant warfare may innovate weapons rapidly but neglect infrastructure. A stable society may invest in architecture and astronomy. A maritime culture may perfect navigation. An isolated one may not. When that culture collapses, its priorities vanish with it. And so technology becomes archaeology. The most important lesson from vanished knowledge is not mystery. It is fragility. We assume progress accumulates permanently. But history suggests that progress requires maintenance. Libraries must be preserved. Skills must be taught. Infrastructure must be repaired. Curiosity must be encouraged. Otherwise, even extraordinary achievements can fade into legend. Some ancient technologies were not superior to modern ones, but they were adapted perfectly to their time and environment. And when that environment changed, the technology changed too, or disappeared. The story of vanished technologies is not a story about lost magic. It is a story about continuity. What we build today may seem permanent, but permanence depends on memory, and memory depends on us.